Welcome back to the Python programming specialization. In the last lecture, we have discussed various control structures that are offered by Python. In this lecture, we will discuss another important concept of the Python programming, that is functions. So first, let's try to understand what is the need of functions in any programming language, and then let's try to understand when a function is included as part of the program, then how the flow of control changes. So let's try to understand what is the need of functions in a programming language. Consider an application which requires certain tasks to be repeated again and again. So like the same task I am going to implement multiple times as part of the application. In that case, what I need to do is I need to have the code. So for the same task, so at place 1, at place 2, at place n. So because the task is repeated for n number of times, I need to have the same code snippet at n number of places. Instead of repeating the same code for n number of times, what I can do is implement that code as a function and use that same function again and again n number of times. So that is one situation where we need the functions. In the other situation, given a task which is very complex and it is very difficult to manage the task as a standalone program. Instead of managing that as a standalone program which is very complex, what can be done is we can divide that entire complex task into smaller chunks, and then we can implement each small chunk as an individual function. In this situation also, we need the functions. Say for example here, so given the task, instead of implementing the task on its own, we are dividing that into n number of smaller tasks, and for each small task we are implementing a function. So that's how instead of implementing it as a single program, I will be implementing n number of small functions. Thereby it will be very easy for us to manage. So in these two situations, so when the complexity of the program is very large, and otherwise when the code demands the repetition of the same code again and again, in those situations it is very much meaningful to use functions. So let's try to understand what functions are. So function is basically a set of related statements, and when executed it performs a single task. And what is the benefit of using these functions? Of course there are plenty of benefits of using the functions. The first and foremost is the code reusability. That is, once the function is implemented, the function can be used at any number of times without any changes. So that's how the code can be reused without reinventing the wheel. And the other advantage of using functions is modularity. When we have a complex task in hand, instead of handling that as it is, what we can do is we can divide that task into smaller chunks, and for each module we can implement it separately. So that's how we can bring modularity into the code using functions concept. Another important advantage is the compactness in the code. So you can make your code very compact by using the functions, because instead of repeating the same code again and again, what you are doing is you are implementing the function once and the same function is used again and again. Thereby you are reducing the size of the code. That's how your program looks very compact and neat. These are the advantages of using functions. So that is the reason why we need to use functions in any programming language. So now let's see what are the types of functions. So a function can be a built-in function or a user-defined function. Built-in functions are the functions which comes with the programming language itself, and these are all the predefined functions. The user need not to define them, they comes with the language implementation itself. There are other sets of functions known as user-defined functions which can be defined by the user as per his requirement. So that's how functions can be built-in type or the user-defined functions. While discussing the earlier concepts, we have come across the statements like print, input, type, len, int. Of course, there are many other statements we have seen, and these are all the functions which are of nature built-in. These are all the list of built-in functions that comes with the Python. The print function is used to display values onto the output devices, whereas input is the function which is used to read values from the keyboard. Type is the function which is used to know what is the type of a variable is. Then similarly len can be used to know the length of the string, int, float, str. So these are all the methods which can be used to convert one type of variable to the other type. So like this we have a lot of functions that are supported by Python, which are the built-in functions. So these functions we never have implemented, but straight away we are using. That's how the functions which comes with the programming language itself, which are predefined by the programming language, they are known as the built-in functions. And these are the few of the built-in functions that are supported by Python. There are many other names for functions. Functions are popularly known as subroutines, routines, procedures, subprograms, even methods also. So basically methods is the term which refers to a function that is part of the class. Even we can use method or function interchangeably, there will not be any problem. Now let's try to understand when there is a function as part of the program, then how the flow of control of a program changes. So we have already discussed the basic standard control flow of execution in a program. So unless you have any control structures, unless you have any function in your program, then the default flow of execution would be sequential. That is, first the statement 1, then statement 2, then statement 3, then so on and so forth till the last statement. All the statements are executed sequentially in any program. So if there are no functions and if there are no control structures as part of the program. But assuming there is a function as part of the program, so let's assume that, so instead of having one of the statement, I replaced it with a function called fun. So in that case what happens is, whenever that statement gets executed, then the flow of control is transferred to the statements that are part of the fun. So assume these are all the list of statements that are part of the function fun, and the flow of control will be transferred from that statement to the first statement of the function fun, and the first statement of the fun will be executed, then the second statement, last statement till the last statement m, all the statements that are part of the function fun will be executed, and once that is done, then again flow will be transferred to the original program whichever called the function fun, and the subsequent instructions in the original program will be continued, and this will be continued till the end of the program execution. So that is how the flow of execution changes when there is a function call in any program. So and this can be extended to multiple levels also. So assuming that this function, this main program is calling the function fun, and the function fun is again calling another function fun1. So let's see how the control flow will be changing. So assume those are all the list of statements that are part of the function fun1. So now whenever the function fun in the original program executes, then the flow of control transfers to the first statement of the function fun. Then after that it starts executing the statements of the function fun. So it starts executing statement 1, statement 2, and whenever it sees the function fun1, then the control is again transferred to function fun1. So then it continues execution of all the statements till the last statement of the function fun1. So once that is done, then the control is transferred back to the function, and after that all the statements till statement m are executed. Once the function fun is completed, then again control is transferred to the original program, and this is how you can have the nesting of functions to any number of levels. So and this is how the flow of control changes when there is a function call in any program. So far in this lecture we have seen what is the need of a function in any programming language and how the flow of control transfers when there is a function as part of the program. Now I hope you understand what is the need of using functions in the programming languages. In the next lecture we will see how to implement functions in Python and how to use them. Thank you for watching this video.